Alright, so this is basically continuity from our previous class on this application called MyGrocery. So today we're going to look at the main page of the application. So during the class, I've covered the splash screen, the login page, account creation page, and also for the shared preference here to store user preference, and all the databases, tables, fields required to handle user information. Alright, so for today's class, we're going to look at our main page. So once user log in their credential, they can access to the main page, which will display the following. So our main page here consists of product list, which will at the moment will list all the products from our database, which is from table product here. This is all the data that in the database for product. There are 14 data here, divided into 3 types: drink, canned food, and vegetable. So the application basically, once the user successfully log into the application, they are able to view all these product. This main page also consists of drawer, which will handle user preference, which is user information display in this user account drawer, and also menu to the rest of the layout. Alright, so for now we're going to look how to display data in this main page or main screen. Alright, so we're going to look at our Flutter Code here. We're going to focus on main screen dot. So in the main screen dot here, we're going to look at our widget, our class here, which is called main screen, and then our widget builder here that built the widget. So the data that we receive from our table product here, handled by LoadProduct PHP. So we're going to see LoadProduct PHP first. So LoadProduct PHP is responsible for handling the requests from Flutter, and also return back an array, or what we call as a JSON data, back to Flutter, which allow Flutter to display and then formatted and displayed back the data to user. Alright, so we're going to look at this override method here, this special method here. This is called override method init state. Whenever we call this main screen class, init state is one of the method that will be called first, and since it will be called first, we added the following method called load data, and load data basically responsible loading all the data from our database here, and then pass the data back to user here. So let's see the code, the method here. So the method here handled by load data, and there's a one list array called product data that we define in the class that will be used to store all the data into product data. So we access load data method, which is just a small method down here, just a simple HTTP method. So we can see string URL https://grocery/php LoadProduct.php. So that is this PHP file that handle or being called by Flutter. So we execute HTTP post, use the URL jobs, and pass no post parameter just yet. So what we have here is just calling load product. So if you call this load product straight away from a browser, what you get is the following. So this is what we call as JSON array or JSON object. So to be able to understand all this data that came or written by this LoadProduct.php, we need to copy all this and go to the JSON editor online.org and paste the code to the left side of this document here, and then copy back to the right, and then copy back to the left, just to see how JSON data is being encoded. So you can see the right side here. This is the object notation, which is the tree object, which is much easier for us to understand. So we can see the data written in the following manner. So there are 14 data here, which represent 14 product that is available in the database. So this is the JSON object, which is handled by this curly bracket, and we have the array product here, which is handled by this product array, and inside this product array contain 14 data. So each data basically consists of key value, which represent the data itself, the ID of the product, the name of the product, price, quantity, weight, and type of the product. So this is basically for us to easily understand how the data look like when this LoadProduct.php written its query. Alright, so let's just see what the PHP is doing. So it is waiting for type. We didn't pass anything just yet. So if the type is set all, if receive all means that we want to get all the data, so select all. But if you want to view by type, so we can perform the following SQL, which is by type. Other than that, we just perform select all for now. So this is perform the query by using PDO. We create an array response product and traverse the database, put it into another array, and then assign the array with its value. So this section here is from database, So if you want to see the database, the database table name here is ID, name, price, quantity, weight. This is all capital letter. So you can see it here. And the left side here, this is just for the ID, this is just for the key. Okay, so normally I use capital letter and small letter just for easy identification. And then we put it into this array list, and then push this array product list into our response. So this will allow us to create the array of JSON. So once the query completed, we can use one PHP function called JSON encode to encode all the response that we receive from this array here. So when it return back to user, when it return back to the to Flutter, so this is what you get, right? And then you can easily manipulate, or you can easily see the data using JSON editor online. Alright, so now from here, so once the data has been successfully written back through response, or this res here, and we can update our product data. So remember the product data list array that we defined before this. To do that, we can use to encode, to decode back the data that we receive from this URL using JSON decode. Alright, so when we decode the data, we put it into one list here, or one array here, and then the product data list can easily extract the array by using extract data product. So if we print out, let's say for example, we print product data here, and then let me just clear this console first. We go back and try to log in again. You can see this is the data that we successfully extracted from product. But the debug console here, they have limitation in terms how many data that they can display. So you can see that's only, not all, but only half of the data that's been displayed or show here, but it is there. Alright, so once you have this product data, you can use this in your list. So this is before this I used list, but since in list the data is being listed in that order, so the size of the list is in row, so I don't want to use that. But in this case, I change it to what we call it. I change it to the grid view. Alright, so this is grid view. This is what we call as a grid view. So the data can be displayed in grid, and then I can use this card here and display each of the product neatly in this structure. Okay, now since we have the product data list here, so we can use, or we can take the data from product data and display back to user. So for that, we need to look at our widget builder here that built our interface. So from the widget here, it based on the availability of product data. If the product data is still null, so we just return this empty layout, which will show circular progress indicator right in the middle. So it is something like this. So this is quite fast, so you can see it is there. This is this layout. Okay, this is just to take care if the product data is equal null. So if product data is equal null, which means that the data is being downloaded or is being requested by the application, so it is still null, and for that we display an empty layout with a circular progress indicator right in the middle. So once we receive the data, we can return another layout, which in this layout we're going to use main drawer. So I did define the main drawer, so we're going to look at the drawer later. And then there's an icon button down there which allow us inside the scaffold, inside the app bar, there's an icon button, this one, and then this icon button basically responsible for this. Okay, allow me to show and turn the visibility of the search bar or search text here, and also button down here. So that is being implemented by using that icon button. And then the body itself wrapped into container and then column. So this is just for the first section of the layout, which is handled by column. Right, so remember this is columns. So the first section here, this is columns for handling this input here, text, and then this scrolling button here. So that handled by this column. And then visibility for both. So if you look into this search and this button here, so the visibility widget allow you to turn that widget visible or not. Okay, so that status changes by pressing this arrow button here. So visibility widget, inside this visibility widget there's a padding, and then there's a search text here. Okay, so you have search tag handled by this padding, inside this padding, and this visibility. So visibility status handled by this underscore visible variable. Another widget also for the button, sorting button, which is if you like just to have, for example, drink only, so we'll only list drink. If you want to look at canned food, it will only list canned food or vegetables or all. Oops, sorry, I didn't implement that just yet. So that is basically for this button down here. So that for implementing this button here, this is basically by using single child scroll view. So if you have more button here, icon button here, allow you to scroll left and right to see all the, or to use all the buttons available. The button here called flat button, this is flat button, this is flat button. Okay, so handled by all this columns widget, canned food, drink. If you want to add more, you can just take this and then put it into this array widget here. Let's see, I want to add one more, so we can add one more to the widget here. Oops, sorry. We should be able to get this scrollable. Oops, sorry, not there, but single child scroll view is supposed to be here. I think so, yeah. Oops, not there. Here. Oops. widget column. Sorry for that. I didn't turn on the scroll direction. So you need to turn scroll direction axis horizontal before you can use that. Okay, let me add one more again. Put it there. So you should be able to have that scrollable. Okay. Alright, so that is for that. For this, we're going to look at the following. So using flexible widget, which allow for the layout to be flexible, which is will automatically occupy its layout, full layout here. So the grid here, all this grid here, basically handled by this grid view count. So grid view count, set the cross-axis count to 2 because I just want to have 2 item here, and the child aspect ratio, this is just to set the size of each layout here, cut there. And then we use list, generate, and based on the product data .lang, means that if you have 14 data in your product data list array, you should be able to get the product data lang automatically generated. And then each cut, which handle for each data here, will be handled by this cut. Set the elevation to 10, and then image, since my image everything handle inside this product image, so you can see the product image is automatically labeled with their own product ID, so it is easier for me to receive or to use that product data index ID and then .jpg to be able to display the image using network image widget. The rest is just displaying back all the data, price, quantity, and weight. And then there's a button, add to cart button, and that add to cart button allow me to add into cart. So that is for handling what we call as grid view. It will automatically, if for example, if I try to put 3 as a cross-axis count, you'll see 3, but yeah, you need to modify that. So 2 should be okay, nicely fitted this layout. In this class also, I actively use the what we call as the screen width, and the screen width here basically handled by this media query contact that automatically get the size of the screen or the width of the screen. So we can use this information and we can automatically adjust the size of the widget, the height or the width of the widget. So we can just control through that. Alright, so load data. For the main rower here, so the main rower here, I built this main rower widget, and inside this widget, this is basically self-explanatory, which is very, very clear. So all the widgets here, from there to here, basically handle main rower, which what you see in this section. So main rower here receive all the data from widget. Alright, so where do we get this widget .user.name? So this is basically came from our constructor here. So the constructor here receive or will require, for example, if you came from login screen, to pass the required object. So in this case, our object here is user. So user built by this user class, which contain name, email, phone, password, credit, and date register. So when we pass to this class, it will basically receive this user object, which come from login screen. So when user successfully log in, so the login basically receive the following information. So this is basically came from our login.php, from our PHP file. So we return back with the data. We split the data, the user data, with all the information we receive, which we need, for example, name, email, password. Email, password, no need to worry because we have that from our login page, but we need phone, credit, and date register. So once we create an object user, we can easily pass to our main screen by using this, passing this object. So main screen will receive user, and this will automatically handle by this object constructor, the class constructor here. So the class constructor here, user. So all the data of user pass to this object, and to be able to call that, we just use widget. We just call widget.user.name. For example, here, if you like to get, like for example, user, you want to get the credit, date register, email, name, password, and phone. So basically you can get all those information by calling widget.user.name. And for the rest, I think that is all for now for the main screen, to be able to display all the data from user by using grid view. And we use this visibility widget, which allow us to show and also to display or to hide additional widget that we want to use. So to make our interface much cleaner, so we can use that. And we learn also about drawer, just a simple drawer here. And then I did this what we call as this floating button. So floating button, we can just use, or we can implement floating button here. Okay, so we can just add to our scaffold, and we add one floating button, but at the moment I didn't implement anything just yet. So this is for shopping cart later. So I'm going to implement shopping cart for this. So once user add item to cart, they can view the shopping cart and check out from this application. Check out their order and then make the payment. So for the main screen here, I believe that is more than enough. You can get this code, or you can get this code from my GitHub page that I listed below. And then with that, I think that is it for today. Stay safe, everybody, and see you next class for this application. So thank you.